But there is another colloquial name that I find very confusing because it's the name for the whole concept. This backpack is colloquially called the closure. People say, put it in the closure. Persist our data in the closure. This backpack here is called the closure. These are all words for that backpack of live data that is now attached to the definition of the function, my new function, that got returned out from where it was born as increment counter. Closure is one name for it, but people call the whole concept closure. So I don't like this, but people call it, you've got to know that, of course. Backpack, I think this is a very good name, but obviously cannot endorse this as the official name, and I warn you against using it in interviews, even as it spreads. Even as we spread this term, I recognize its limitations. Man, persistent lexical scope reference, very impressive. Close of a variable environment, very nice. All right, so there we go, folk. We're going to talk in a moment about how is this going to change how we write functions, what's going to empower us to do. We're going to also talk in a second about one edge case that wasn't brought up, one sort of situation that wasn't brought up. What if I ran outer all over again, generating a new returned increment counter function? Let's see what happens with that. If I ran it all over again, I ran out all over again and stored the returned increment counter function or definition into another function. And then we're going to call another function a few times. Here we go. We're going to run outer one more time. We are almost there. We are almost there. So let's run outer one more time. Here we go. So let's move our call stack over. Call stack is over here with global, and we are going to hit the line another function is going to be the return value of a further call to outer. So talk me through this Z. Left-hand side first.
We're declaring a global variable called another function.
Another function.
A function.
Yeah, another function. I could be always write it out. Another function. There we go. Yeah. And do we know what's going to be stored in it yet? Z?
It's going to be undefined.
Undefined for now because we've got to go off and get the return value of calling outer. So let's do it. Let's create a new execution context. In we go, and what's the first thing in our local memory Z?
We declare a local variable called counter and we set it equal to 0.
This counter is 0. Yeah, I find out it's the same person. Same question every time. Z, next line. No, Media, next line.
Then we're going to declare a function called increment counter.
Perfect. Okay, and now, is that all we're doing at that point, Mejan?
So that function will also get a persistent lexical scope
Right.
reference.
Wow. Wow. Very impressive. So, we are instantly on the function definition moment, making a bond from it under the hood through this scope property to the surrounding local memory. Very nice from Mejan. Okay, now what's the next line we hit, Mejan?
We then return increment counter.
The functionality of increment counter, the function definition of increment counter, return it out into what global variable?
Another function.
Another function. And are we just returning out that increment counter functionality?
No, we also get the persistent lexical scope.
Excellent, 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 excellent. We also get that persistent lexical scope reference. Out it returns, formerly known as increment counter, not anymore. Out it returns, and with it. Okay. So, at this point, I'm going to ask my favorite question to ask. What if we were to call Another function is the function, there it is, that we just returned out with its backpack of live data. What if we were to call my new function once, my new function again, another function once, and another function again, median? What if we were to do that? What would our values call my new function once? Let's slightly change this so that we can console log our counter after we increment it. So we'd counter plus plus and then we'd console log it. My new function once, my new function again, another function once, another function again. What values of counter would we see in our console for each of those calls?
Are we starting with my new function?
Yep.
Okay, so that would, I think we left it at 2, the counter.
Oh, we're going to run it for the very first time.
Oh, for the first time,
Yeah.
okay. So you would see it incremented from 0 to 1.
Perfect.
And then from 1 to 2.
Okay.
So you see 2 in the console, but then when you switch over and run another function, you're starting with a variable in its own persistent lexical. You're starting with its own persistent.
You really don't want to use
It's
the
a cool
backpack
scope
term?
reference.
You really
You're
use the
looking
backpack
in
term?
its own backpack, and you get, and so you'll see 1, and then you'll see 2.
Should we give her a big round of applause? Excellent, very nice meeting. Beautiful. We have now got 2 distinct functions that we returned out individually, formerly known as increment counter, one in my new function, one another function, and they both have their own distinct backpacks. Our functions have individual persistent memories, caches of data attached to their definitions. All right, thumbs at this point. You lost me, I'm clear, I have clarifications, it's okay to have clarifications, it's okay to have thumbs up. Any final clarifications, people? All right. By the way, this is known as a lexically scoped language, one in which where I define my function is what in the end always determines what data I have access to. And we take advantage of that feature to give our functions persistent memories attached to them. Just as a quick clarification, a dynamically scoped language would be one where I call my function is always what determines what I have access to. So I'd go down my call stack always, never checking in some backpack. So given we have this feature, this persistent lexical scope reference, this bundle of data, this backpack, this closure attached to our function definition, what can this let us do? This lets us achieve amazing, powerful functions. Our functions with memories now enable us to build functions like the onceified version of a function. So the onceified version of multiply by 2 says, first time you run me, take in 7, return out 14, and increment in the backpack a value of counter to 1. Next time you run me, make sure you're checking the value of counter. It's a 1. You can't run me again. And instead of passing in 20 to multiply by the onceified version, multiply by 2, pass in 20, check in the backpack, find count as 1, you don't return out 40. You return out, well, you can have different versions. You can have one which returns out the original value, 14, or another which returns out, sorry, you can only run me once. And this turns out to be super useful. You're building games, like a tic-tac-toe game, you want to be able to on-click change a cell's value, but you never want to be able to allow it again. Then you set your function, you set a onceified version of that function. Sorry, once you set the value of the tic-tac-toe cell, you can't set it again. You're only allowed to run it once. Or memoization. Memoization is super powerful, very, very standard, best practice to use in your code. You've got a complicated function that takes a ton of time to do its work, say finding the nth prime number or some other thing that takes a lot of time. You pass in, 10,000, 12,000, and finding the 12,000th prime number can take a few seconds. Well, do that work, and then store in the backpack maybe an object like store and have 12,000 associated with whatever the value is that it's a 12,000 prime number. Go do the work of finding the 12,000th prime number the first time and then make sure to store it in the backpack. So the next time when you run memoize nth prime, an nth prime with a memory, and pass in 12,000, instead of doing all the, figuring out the 12,000 prime number, jump straight to the backpack, check first if, you run it with 12,000 before, and instantly return out the value from the first time you ran it. My functions now have memories. And that is very powerful. And there is the module pattern. And this is used in many design patterns in JavaScript. The ability to bundle up state data hidden on function definitions. When you're writing, again, large code bases, thousands, tens of thousands of lines of code, hundreds of thousands of lines of code, many developers on the team, it's pretty problematic to what's called pollute the global namespace, pollute the memory by putting like result is 7. But you want your data in your application to last sometimes the whole life of the application. Maybe it's like scores of a game. You don't want to have inside of functions only. When the function finishes running, they're deleted. There's some data you want to hold on for the whole life of the application. Player scores. Now you can be really careful with how you define those variables, but it's still pretty problematic to have in the global memory result 1, result 2. And yet the only way to keep data around the entire life of an application is for it to be in global memory. Or so we thought. What Clojure also gives us is the ability to persist data for the life of an application, but hidden in backpacks on function definitions. And we write those function definitions in smart ways such that we can pass in a value which will then be stored in the backpack, and we can write them so they return out the value, for example, return counter, so we get write, read access to our backpack of data. But they're all bundled up inside the backpack of a function, not there able to be mutated. You can't do my new function .counter. You can only access it through this very nice interface. That is, I can run my new function, pass something in that I'll make sure gets passed to the backpack, and I can also make sure when I run that function, the return value is all the data from our backpack. And this is what gives us something called the module pattern in JavaScript. Right, people, excellent. There we go. That is Clojure.